A descendant of the Yuin Nation, Marcia Ella grew up in the La Perouse Indigenous community on the northern beaches of Botany Bay, the ninth of 12 children.
Growing up at La Perouse was very much like growing up in the perfect place, if you like. There would be, maybe 30 Aboriginal kids from around the community, and we would make a ball if we didn't have one, and whenever there were more than 3 of us around, there was a game. Although we grew up with materially very poor, we certainly had lots of love and all of the things that kids need to grow up healthy and strong. So we grew up with a really strong work ethic in the family. Always an expectation that when you did something, you did it to the best of your ability. My parents, didn't just expect us to go to school every day, they expected us to do very well at school, and many of us did.
The younger sister of 3 famous Australian rugby stars, Mark, Glenn and Gary, Marcia's own sporting talent surfaced on the netball court.
I wanted to play because my sisters were playing, and the only kids team that we had at La Perouse was a 14-year-old team. So when I got old enough to put on a netball skirt, which was about 9, I played in the 14-year-olds. So, I was a very skinny, very little kid. They used to just give me the goalkeeper patch and tell me to stay out of the way, basically, which I did, but hey, I was playing netball, I loved it. For some people it might be surprising that there are 4 people from the one family that went on to play their sport for Australia. But if you are part of my family, what is surprising is that there were only 4 people playing for Australia. Could have been anything, maybe up to half a dozen or 8 of us at one point. My poor parents.
In 1987, Marcia was part of the Australian team that finished equal runners-up at the World Championships in Scotland.
When the team was announced, of course, the first thing I did was call my family. And I think the whole family might have been at home waiting to hear. And I remember just screaming down the phone, getting a bit teary. I got picked, and I could hear the family just going mad. And as competitive as my family is, my biggest supporters were my family. And so to hear all my brothers and a couple of sisters in the background screaming, God, it was like winning a gold medal. The 87 more tournament in Glasgow, again, was another journey for me. It was one of the youngest or least experienced teams for Australia to ever play at a world tournament. We had a week or 2-week camp before we departed. We had that down at the Institute of Sport. We were playing superb netball. I think perhaps by the time some of us got to Glasgow, myself included, we were probably overdone. I think we had peaked a little too early, but I know that we were really disappointed in the result that year. Still, it was just amazing. I thought our nationals were pretty good, and they were pretty good, but wow, the World Tournament just took it to a whole new level. Something that previous to Glasgow, I would never have been able to imagine.
With 18 test caps to her name, Marcia Ella has made a significant contribution to Australia's on-court success in the international arena. Through her ongoing coaching of young Aboriginal people, Marcia continues to use her sport to promote individual and community health, self-worth and pride.
I have always appreciated the tremendous opportunity that netball has given me. Not just to play netball, but for me to grow and develop as a person. And I know that, compared to a lot of my peers, I have done exceptionally well in life, not just at netball. And I know that the difference between me and some of my peers was that I was off playing netball when they were off doing things that were dangerous to themselves or dangerous to others. And so I have always felt a tremendous sense of obligation, not to netball, but to my community. As soon as I retired at around 25, I started to work with Aboriginal kids, because we've got all these little girls running around and all the boys are off playing football, but what are the girls doing? That's very personal. I do that because I understand what it did for me. And I would love the sport to be able to do that for other kids.
Marcia Ella joins the Australian Netball Hall of Fame as a true pioneer of our sport, the first Indigenous scholarship holder at the Australian Institute of Sport, and the first Indigenous athlete to represent Australia in netball.
The most important thing is about how I can signal to the rest of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women that you can do anything. And not only can you do anything, but you can do it very well. And there is an opportunity for everybody here. If you want it, you can take it. And so accepting the award for me personally, of course, is very rewarding. But for Aboriginal Australia, it is 10 times more important. And I do think there is a really important message in there. I hope the message gets heard by a lot of people.